shotgun. It's picked off. It's Tracy Porter again. He's running free. He's going to go all the way. It is a Saints touchdown. Woo! Get ready to party with the Lombardi, New Orleans. The Saints have won the Super Bowl.
Man, there's nothing like it.
I'm very pleased to welcome into the building a man who's been very popular around ESPN all day. He's the head coach of the Super Bowl champion New Orleans Saints. Sean Payton is here. And so, Sean, for the millions who will never get the chance to know, when the final seconds tick off a clock and you have won a Super Bowl, what does that feel like?
Well, and there's an immediate reaction that, man, we just did this. And it takes a little longer to set in. With Peyton Manning, even with a lead, you just know that they're capable of scoring quickly, and finally when it sinks in, you know, you're really wanting to slow everything down. You know, you just want it to stop.
And we've heard legendary stories about the party afterwards. It wouldn't be the New Orleans Saints without a party. Owner Tom Benson threw an enormous party afterward. Was there any particular event from that party that stands out for you? You
know, most of it was back at the hotel, and, you know, when we get back on the bus, probably at around 11 at night, everyone else has been up all day and afternoon, and I think immediately, you know, the players and coaches are all hungry. We get back there, but once you get to the hotel, in that half-hour bus ride, you have a chance really for it to be quiet, and you think about what happened. But once you get to the hotel, it's kind of like your own wedding day. You really talk with everyone and yet speak to no one, and it goes by real quick.
After you won the Super Bowl, did you do anything unusual with the Lombardi Trophy?
We passed it around, and the trophy ended up, I think, in the bed next to me. So there's no special case for it. You think there might be some elaborate protocol that it goes on a horse and buggy back to the airport, when really it's hey, who had this trophy last? It's over there by the chip dip.
Now, you get the traditional honor of hosting the season opener. It'll be on a Thursday night, September 9th, a rematch of the NFC Championship game against the Minnesota Vikings. We don't know yet for sure if Brett Favre is going to be playing. Now, he did recently say he would love the chance to go out and beat the Saints. What did you think of that?
Well, knowing Brett, the competitor that he is, you wouldn't expect anything other than that. You know, and I think this, you know, we understand the type of team that Minnesota is, and we've got a ton of respect for what they've accomplished, but how talented they are. We had our hands full when we played them last year. So I like the idea of him really taking some time, maybe at the bye, making a decision, you know, week 8 or week 9, and I think that would benefit us. So he's a tremendous player. The season he had at his age a year ago was unbelievable.
Anytime after week 1, right?
Anytime
week 2 would be fine for you.
It would be good.
And it's been alleged through court records you had a connection to the Vicodin abuse case involving the Saints. What can you say about whether you've ever used Vicodin without a valid prescription?
Well, it's just what we said in the very beginning, what I said in the very beginning. It's always been with a prescription. And basically, we went through, I think, a pretty difficult time frame. You know, right after the season, there's an employee who's making allegations without all the information or without all the facts. Your initial reaction as a coach, or your initial reaction, I think, as a father or a parent, is to fight back, and yet there's some specific restrictions that prevent you from doing that immediately. And fortunately, all the facts will come out and are in the midst of coming out. There's an arbitration that's ongoing really between this individual and the club, and that's probably been one of the hardest things to deal with, though, is that frustration level of, are you kidding me? And I think when you have this success, there's going to be those 14, 15, 16 people that it just kills inside because maybe they weren't with you or they had that opportunity to be with you, and you know, we can't do anything about that.
All right, back on the field. The onside kick in the Super Bowl. Coaches will always be remembered for gambles and decisions. If they go the wrong way, you're remembered in a way you don't like. Take us through that decision.
Well, it was a decision that we had made probably a week prior. You know, we were looking for a way to steal a possession, basically, and we started with the idea of a fake punt. And the looks we were getting were pretty unpredictable, and so that idea moved to really what was the onside kick. And they had enough film evidence. We felt pretty comfortable with the risk. And by the end of the week, our players had gotten to the point where almost they were challenging us. You know, you won't call that in this game. And so when you do something like that, you try to empower them, and they did a great job of executing it.
My favorite story from your whole off-season was at St. Elmo's Steakhouse in Indianapolis, a legendary steakhouse in Indianapolis, where apparently, and you'll have to make sure that we got it exactly right, Jerry Jones, who was at one time your boss, the owner of the Cowboys, had called ahead to reserve a very specific bottle of wine, of which they only had one. And you showed up, and you got wind of that. Tell everybody what happened.
That evening, we had a dinner on Friday. Jerry and the Cowboys were eating on Saturday, which is a pretty standard schedule. And when we went to St. Elmo's, the sommelier basically said, hey, here's the selection options, but this one's off limits. And when someone says it's off limits, you initially just say, well, why? And then when you had the answer, and I've known Jerry for a long time, he's been a great influence for me, and there's probably a better chance we never would have ordered that had it not been off limits, but it was off limits, and so at some point in the evening, we just, we kind of got his bottle of wine, and then we signed it and left it back in the little, cast form, and I think he got a kick out of it on Saturday.
And a lot of stories like those in this book, your new book called Home Team, Coaching the Saints and New Orleans Back to Life. What made you decide to write this book at this time?
We've seen a lot of different coaches' books or athletic stories, and this one was unique following Katrina. And we were a lot like an upstart company in 2006. And so what took place beginning in the 06 season till really the Super Bowl season we just finished was pretty special. And it was special for a region. It was a special sense of accomplishment for a fan base that really had struggled for a long time. And so you're going to get that, and you're going to get a lot more of the behind the scenes than you are any X's and O's. In the beginning, it's very easy. They come to you during the playoffs and say, hey, if you win, you want to do a book, and yeah, that's fine. If we win the Super Bowl, we'll write a book. And then a week later, they're knocking at your door, and you're like, what? But it is a chance for me to say, hey, here were the last 4 years, and wait till you hear what I have to tell you.
Of course, it culminates with the Super Bowl championship. Sean Payton, best of luck with this. Congratulations.
Thank you.